Yo, what's up, Blackish fam? I hope all is well in your corner of the world. Man, really excited to get into a new artist today. A lot of people have left comments saying to check out the Rhymesayers Entertainment label. I guess that's Aesop's label, and I guess they have some very talented, very lyrical artists. So I just chose one. It's not alphabetical, but we got to Atmosphere. It looks like he just put out something called Bigger Pictures. If anything, it looks like this might be a track that was already out, but he just released an official video. Hopefully, there's no copyright issues, but let me move myself out and let's check out this new music. Atmosphere, Bigger Pictures. What are those vans? Wonder if this is him or not. I don't really know how he looks. Older cat. Little guitar in the back, alright. Where am I? Did he just wake up there? Not what I expected, but it never really is, right? You get that feeling that he's just waking up here and he doesn't really know what he's doing in this town.
And when I was one, was just the first son to carry the burden. I was barely a person. My folks were young but committed to keep up their end of the bargain. Protect me from harm and grow a garden. I was loved, I was fed.
Okay, so it sounds like he's talking about troubles that came up as from being a kid, right? He said when he was one, he was their first son to carry the burden. So he could be talking about abortion. This could be something where he was left or abandoned as a kid, right? He said to carry the burden. I was barely a person. So he's a kid or a child. You know, are they carrying the burden, or is she literally, is there wordplay there? And is she carrying the burden like she's carrying a child? He did say my folks were young, right? Let's see what he says again. I kind of had that impression. I first thought it was abortion, but long ass intro.
And when I was one, was just the first son to carry the burden. I was barely a person. My folks were young but committed.
Yeah, his folks were young.
To keep up their end of the bargain.
So, my thought is they're committed and they want to keep up to their end of the bargain. Is it committed to being parents, right, and raising this first son, or commitment to being married, right? He said, "Protect me from harm" in there and grow a garden. So sounds like they're giving him the necessities of life. Maybe it wasn't enough. Look at where he is, right? He's in this old house with busted wallpaper. Let's see if he had this rough upbringing.
When I was one, was just the first son to carry the burden. I was barely a person. My folks were young but committed to keep up their end of the bargain. Protect me from harm and grow a garden. I was loved, I was fed, might sleep through the night. I was taught how to talk and how to read you from left to right. I learned to argue and fight from a distance.
Okay, so he's definitely talking about, it sounds like there's some abuse going on in this house, right? He's talking about he was given the fundamentals. He said he was loved, he was fed. He said he might sleep through the night, right? So why aren't you sleeping through the night? Then he also said, I was taught how to, read and write or read you from left to right. So he's not reading books, but he was taught to read people. And he said, I learned to argue from a distance, or argue and fight from a distance. So it sounds like there's some arguing. He's learning by example, maybe. There's a lot of people in the world with worse scenarios, because some might not have one parent, let alone a single family home. But sounds like you at least have two parents there. Again, I'm not trying to take away from your struggle, But it definitely sounds like there's some violence in the home. Maybe more verbal or so. I don't really know if it was physical yet.
To read you from left to right, I learned to argue and fight from a distance where my vulnerability gets no recognition. And by the time I was 11, I was already defensive. An extension of environment and reinforced messages.
Yeah, he's definitely an extension of his environment, right? It sounds like he's learning defensive techniques. He said, I was already defensive by the time I was 11, right? It definitely sounds like he's a product of his environment.
Already defensive, an extension of environment and reinforced messages. Preemptively believed eventually I'll be a failure to my family and friendships.
Wow, preemptively, that's just like, it's a measure taken against something that you fear, right? So he's saying, like, what did he say? Preventive? No, he said preemptively, right?
He believed eventually I'll be a failure to my family and friendships. And when
it sounds like he doesn't feel like he's good enough. He feels like, let's just go back.
Believed eventually I'll be a failure to my family and friendships. And when you mix it and blend it with contemporary pressures of adolescence, emphasis on the consensus of a
earlier he said that they wanted to honor their commitment, right? I don't know if it's a commitment to him or to each other, but sometimes that can lead to feelings of resentment, right? Or built up hate. And it could have been expressed, right? How did that come out? If they resent being each other and are staying together just for the kid, do they now hate the kid? How is he being treated, and how has he developed as a person because of that?
Temporary pressures of adolescence, emphasis on the consensus of a book full of portraits, but didn't consider that we've been sketching stick figures underneath bigger pictures.
Woo! Nice. Is that him? Or his kid? There's definitely issues going on, right? We talked about a troubled upbringing, possible verbal or psychological abuse, right? He said it would blend in with regular adolescent troubles. It sounds like it could be like the perfect storm brewing. I like what he said about the pictures, right? He said there's a book full of pictures, but they've only been drawing these undeveloped stick figures, right? If they're stick figures, what is he trying to say? Are they putting up a front? Are they not fully formed themselves? Are they a fraction of the person they used to be, right? There's several metaphors that we could use to get into. We've been sketching stick figures underneath physiological, but let's let it ride. Definitely old school.
And on my 21st birthday, already had my firstborn baby boy, and maybe homie saved my life. But Papa kept the motor running. I'ma come and see you later. Trying to color up some paper, trying to make this right.
So it sounds like, he had his first kid by 21, right? Now, what do you say? Baby boy and my homie saved his life. You hear that a lot, especially with people that are troubled, right? They say that their kids saved their lives because they give them a sense of purpose, right? It saved him. Maybe not like your homie might save you, but just the same, right? Something's awakened inside of you when you have kids. You're living for something besides yourself. I wanted to listen to what he said, though, about Papa. Is he talking about his Papa, or is he talking like, oh, Papa's going to do this for you, right?
Firstborn baby boy, and maybe homie saved my life. But Papa kept the motor running. I'ma come and see you later. Trying to color up some paper, trying to make this right.
So Papa kept the motor running. Are they in a motor home? Are they in a trailer? Or does he just keep the engine going, keeping the family going?
Realize most experiences are coincidental, but I'll never let go of these regrets I hold. That's why the pieces that were missing always felt more special. Better bring some bigger pencils to sketch my soul.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. He said he's trying to color some paper, right? So it sounds like, if we're thinking of metaphors and such, it sounds like he's trying to hide or cover up these ugly parts of himself, right? Hence coloring on paper, right? He literally says he'll never forget the regrets that he has, right? Regret of having a kid while being young, regret that you haven't healed emotionally. Where's he going with this, right? It sounds like he thinks his upbringing is his fault, right? There is something when it sounds like what he's dealing with is psychological issues, but there's something called toxic self-criticism, right? It's really prevalent with childhood victims of trauma, right? The symptoms occur when individuals are unfairly blamed or they're held to these impossibly high standards. And it results in this like internalized judgment that comes out really as a negative voice, right? Keep in mind, right? A child's psyche or their psyche, it's still developing. They see the world around them as like, I guess they're trying to interpret that, right? So again, he's talking about these stick figures. If mommy and daddy are fighting, it's possibly he might think it's about him, right? What did I do wrong? Why don't they love me? So it definitely sounds like he's dealing with these very complex issues. Let me just listen to this part again.
Never let go of these regrets I hold. That's why the pieces that were missing always felt more special. Better bring some bigger pencils to sketch my soul. But yo, when I was 31, both ends burning them. Thought that I was lost in the jungle, but I was in search of something.
So, he's still talking about these stick figures. So again, they're a fraction of the person they used to be, or they're trying to cover up this mess, which turns into the bigger pencils, bigger crayons, which I get the name of the song, Bigger Pictures, right? But it sounds like he went from being a child to being 21, and I believe he just said 31.
Both ends burning them. Thought that I was lost in the jungle, but I was.
And he said both ends burning them. That's normally it's referred to as you're burning the candle at both ends. If you're doing that, you're trying to do too many things in a short period of time, right? You're either staying up very late, you're getting up very early. It really is just another way of saying that you're overextending yourself.
I was 31, both ends burning them. Thought that I was lost in the jungle, but I was in search of something. Learning how to deconstruct my puzzle. Permanently nervous, I was in love with the hustle. The devil went to hell just to sell that selfishness. They tried to make me feel important. I fell for it. Embarrassment, trepidation, plus a healthy dose of self-imposed limit.
Yeah, it sounds like he's really struggling, right? He's searching for closure. He's trying to find out why he is the way he is. What's making him tick, right? He said he was in love with the hustle, and I'm thinking hustle of what? Hustle in these streets, right? He said the only thing mentioned being sold is selfishness, right? So is he hustling that? He said it was to the devil himself, right? So he said he felt important and maybe he fell for the devil's nonsense. I'm hoping, like, is he a bad dad, or does he consider himself a bad dad? Is he following the same roadmap that his parents laid out for him? Is he an abusive father?
I fell for it. Embarrassment, trepidation, plus a healthy dose of self-imposed limitations.
He said trepidation, right? That's a feeling of fear or agitation. You're thinking something might happen, right? Is it the fear like his mom and dad have? Is he scared of love?
Embarrassment, trepidation, plus a healthy dose of self-imposed limitations over my own illustrations. And when I struggled with the number 41, I had a couple more sons, and it feel like my real life had just begun. It's getting harder to translate.
He's got more kids.
I've already played my part of this landscape, and all of this time I've been following my design, trying to find a little solace in how the stars align. It kinda looks like glitter, but every pixelated flicker gets the proper position in the biggest of pictures.
Oh, sick. It sounds like he had more kids when he got older, right? He's my age now. I'm 40. It sounds like he's saying that he's 41, right? He's starting to figure out life. It's finally making sense, and he's realizing that his destructive behavior, it's been he's been following this design. He might have been doing it to himself. So, he's saying finding solace in how the stars align it seems to mean, right, there's comfort. What he went through is now is making him the person that he is today. It sounds like, he said every part of his path is are the stars that aligned, right? Or where they should have been, the proper position in the bigger of pictures, right? So he's realizing again the things that he's lived through help make him the man that he is today. Wow.
Flicker gets the proper position in the biggest of pictures. And when I was 51
now. It doesn't seem to be. So he's not 51 yet, but the story continues. What are the visuals?
On and on and on and on. 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 On and on and on and on.
It's good. I definitely like it. It definitely was worthy of a breakdown. Now I understand what people say because about Aesop Rock ruining it for other hip hop artists. Because man, once you listen to Aesop and the complexity and and going back to break something else down is like, come on, where's the difficulty, right? I want something more complex. But no, this is good in itself. But I am definitely excited to get back into some more Aesop.